Hi everybody, Steve Burris from Allegiance Project Foundation. Today we're going to be answering the question, what is the solution to school safety? I'll be giving you my perspective as a retired U.S. Secret Service Special Agent. One of the more important things that I think gets overlooked when it comes to talking about school safety is the threat mitigation aspect of it. In the Secret Service, we monitored social media, we had call lines, people would provide us information that somebody made a threat, or somebody was sending inappropriate messages to a protectee. So when that type of thing would come up, we would conduct what we call protective intelligence or a threat mitigation investigation. We would look for, have they acted out previously towards other people? Do they have a history of stalking behavior? All those kinds of indicators that they may be a threat. The same thing applies to people that are heading down a pathway towards violence in schools or in workplaces. We'll see some changes in their behavior. We may see them starting to show an obsession with violence. They're viewing violent content on their computers at work, that type of thing. And the whole goal of this is to intervene in their spiral on that pathway of violence rather than to have them sent to jail. We don't want that solution. We want a real solution, which is to get them the psychological help that they need. We found through a lot of studies that if we can derail that initial progression towards violence, that will probably be the only time in that person's life that they are on that spiral towards violence, and they can have a much better outcome. For schools, what we want to do is we want to look for students that are having changes in behavior. Are they not hanging out with their same friends? Are they being disruptive in classes where they didn't used to be? Are their grades falling? Are they leaving sports that they used to love playing? Things like that can be indicators that something is going on in that kid's life. But what we want to do is get involved and help that person find the help that they need so that they don't end up in the judicial system unnecessarily. 3 things that schools can do to increase their safety. First of all is to instill a security mindset in their faculty and staff. The second is to come up with an emergency operations plan for the most likely to the least likely security related events. And the third is to provide armed security that can respond to a lethal threat with lethal force in order to protect the faculty, staff, most importantly the students. So what do I mean by instilling a security mindset? The primary things are to ensure that faculty and staff understand that following the security rules provides a safe environment for teaching students, for them to learn, and for the faculty to be able to do their jobs. What we mean by that is small things like making sure that exterior doors aren't propped open, that anybody who is in an area without a proper badge is challenged, that we're not holding doors open for people that we don't know. Things like that that are very basic safety and security methods. So the second thing that can be done in schools is to have an emergency operations plan, not just for the high likelihood events like a tornado if you live in Texas, or thunderstorms, heavy hurricanes if you live near the ocean, but also the low probability things like fires. Don't happen very often, but we still do fire drills, and we should be doing fire drills. So having emergency operation plans that provide for how we're going to deal with these situations when they come up is a huge priority. The last thing that schools could do to implement a better safety approach is to have that armed physical response in schools from armed security officers or police officers. Less so for disciplinary issues, but primarily as a response to any sort of intrusion by somebody from outside or somebody that actually does belong in the school but has come in to cause harm that day. We want to have that immediate active law enforcement response or security response that will not hold the perimeter until SWAT gets there, but will go directly to the problem and deal with the problem by stopping the threat. The Allegiance Project Foundation exists to hire veterans and place them into schools in order to mitigate those threats and provide security guards. As a 501c3, what we do is bridge the gap those schools have in funding so they don't have to destroy their operational budgets in order to provide a safe environment for their students and their faculty. The way that Allegiance Project approaches these school safety ideas is, one, we'll provide training to the faculty and staff on what is important in the security mindset. Two, we will work with them on developing an emergency operations plan. Thirdly, we provide, obviously, the armed security response, combat veterans that we know are going to respond correctly and go in against any armed intrusion into that school. If you would like more information on how you could help or support Allegiance Project, go to allegianceproject.org. If you are interested in working with us as a security guard, reach out to us at allegianceproject.com.